What's going on, everyone? Jeremy here from The Quartering. I hope you're having a wonderful, wonderful day. I've got more non-drama today. I'm going to try to just finally get out of that and, I guess, focus on the interactions between a certain individual on Twitter. But anyway, lost in all this, I was reminded last night when there was a little bit of a goodbye, bye-bye, we don't want you here rant. I was reminded of one individual, and that was Frosk. If you remember, she was the men bad employee that took basically most of the blame for the fall of G4TV. Now, I believe that G4TV relaunching in the format it was, given the insane amount of overhead that it had almost a 0% chance of succeeding. I will say that Frosk probably cost everybody that worked there an extra 6 months' pay, maybe, as it could have limped along a little bit longer, but I think it was pretty much doomed from the very beginning. And in this particular case, she now has done an interview with Peter Pischke, I believe it's his name is. I'll correct it as I go on, and revealed that there are more secrets that haven't come out of G4, but also manages to take a swipe at Henry Cavill. After labeling Henry Cavill with pervert tag, gaming personality Frosk says that the the bad stuff for women in gaming following early retirement. Henry Cavill has been associated with the gaming community for a long time, even since Frosk called him, of course, a pervert at the G4 team collapsed with no hopes of revival. Being an integral member of G4, Frosk stated that there was some pretty bad behavior in gaming, stating that for one of the reasons Frosk gave her for leaving the gaming industry into early retirement, while calling the Man of Steel actor a pervert. Frost recalled that she was horrified by the things she had seen in the gaming industry. Well, she didn't really speak up about much of them in specifics, right? With the recent breaking of the G4 team, Frosk has made some interesting remarks about the gaming industry, calling it bizarre. The American commentator talked about the things that she'd seen during her years behind the scenes of an event. So here's what's interesting. So first part says, this is so strange that it's on social media. People are just making all these crude, not even just jokes, but really crude statements. What is happening here? We've missed the barrier to the decision-making to think something, type it out, and hit enter and send it, Frost said regarding crude jokes about Morgan Webb. Frost went on to reveal the horrible experience that she had while in the gaming world and how G4 completely overdid it with the negative publicity ride. I had this individual who was, I'm assuming, reverse image searching the pictures I put on social media and kept messaging me, trying to get my location, she continued. Weird stuff like that. I decided to delete my entire Twitter to make sure that there weren't any images that could be used. I just cleared out the entire thing. Again, that's not okay. I never agree with that. And, you know, I've also said, even though it's been purported otherwise, that I'm also firmly against dogpiling. I think people want to have their say, and that's just the way the internet works. But, you know, I don't like directing people to go do stuff like that. I would never do that as a content creator. I know there are some people that do, and I'm not calling anyone out. I just mean some people do, and it's fun at times. But, you know, I've gotten older and softer, I guess. This was one of the few things that Frosk had to say about the gaming world. During the fallout of G4, the commentator also blamed Henry Cavill for being... What? Now, in 2018, Henry Cavill sat down for an interview with GQ and talked about the ongoing movement, Me Too. In the interview, the Enola Holmes actor reportedly made some controversial remarks. The lines were taken out of context from his interview, in which Frosk seemed to dislike. Henry Cavill said some very questionable things around Me Too and dated a 19-year-old as old as 30. Again, no big deal. Seeing people throw themselves at his feet for The Witcher is weird. The show's whatever at best. I don't know if she actually said that then. You know, like, I'm not sure. It's a weird, you know, to have that come back up, I suppose. But in this other article, you know, she opened up about the circumstances with Culturescape, and I won't rob them of the view on the video. I think, you know, if you're interested, you should watch it. People say he was pretty impartial. Over the months leading up to it, everywhere I looked, if it was on YouTube or Reddit or Twitch, on every platform, people were just talking about how much they used to enjoy themselves to Morgan Webb, she explained. I was like, this is so strange. Then on social media, people are making all these crude statements, not even jokes. What's happening here is we missed the barrier. Shifting our attention to the X-Play segment, in which her anger eventually boiled over, Frost detailed how it was supposed to be like a New Year's gripe thing. So we'd be like, this thing really annoyed me, and this year let's start fresh and do a New Year's rant, she told Pishke. Originally, I was supposed to talk about Red Dead Redemption 2's online. I was going to blast Rockstar. That was even before they decided to just leave the game online to die. However, after doing rehearsals, where the on-screen team want to keep our rants secretive, so we didn't record them or do them, everyone went to take a lunch break, whereat Frost's rant truly began to take form. And I go to lunch, I'm sitting there with the network producer, and I don't remember why it was brought up, but the discussion at the table has really kind of turned our different experiences into women in the industry, and also that specific studio. So she's like, she's claiming some issues with her coworkers. And having really unkind comments and gross experiences, she recalled. I was like, this is why it's so prevalent in the industry. Except they also had this, amaranth and a ball pit going on too. It's so bizarre, Frosk opined on the matter. I've worked in 4 different Riot Games offices, and Riot obviously went through the massive lawsuit about gender discrimination. But just like the other S I've seen, working 10 years in esports, I thought that going to mainstream broadcasting would make it better. But while she thought esports was like the Wild West, where you don't have a lot of people with white-collar business experience, and that it was going to be better going to G4, these issues reportedly got so much worse going to G4, specifically in studio. I cannot believe more stuff hasn't come out. So here she has directly insinuated that the people she worked with at G4 were sexist or, made comments or said bad things. That's what she's insinuating here. Frost next explained how after that lunch, she returned to the studio, decided to change the topic of her rant, shifting from Rockstar's multiplayer to her aggravated frustration with her coworkers' personally bad experiences. Retracing the chain of events, she said, so I hash out the rant, I give it to X-Play showrunner, and they approve it. And they're like, yeah, this is great. We're going to put it up on the teleprompter. And so I read it when it went out. So yes, it was pre-planned. Yes, it looks like it was confirmed and approved by X-Play and G4 higher-ups. So it wasn't Frosk going rogue. It was them agreeing with it. She even said, it was approved by the higher-ups, Frosk bluntly affirmed. In a quick aside, the former X-Play host noted, hilariously, X-Play co-host Gerard, the completionist, was actually going to do a very similar rant. His was going to be about the general hatred or negativity. I don't want to put words in his mouth, but kind of like the negativity around the gaming sphere and the audience outputting that. Mine was negativity through the lens of being a whammon. She distinguished between the two talks. And when Jared heard mine, he was like, well, you basically talked about a very similar vein I was going to talk about. Fine. Frost then turned to address the decision of G4 social media team to clip it and separately. They didn't ask me or anything. They just went, she asserted, revealing that she initially thought little of her ranting because 2,000 people watched the stream? That's very self-aware. I was like, it's whatever. It was basically for this audience. However, while in true corporate fashion, G4 proceeded to ride the high of internally everyone's like, good job, we really ran behind you, Frost revealed to an intently listening Pishke that even more true corporate fashion, as soon as the backlash comes and it gets caught up in the YouTube algorithm, all of the harassment comes and G4 just hard bailed. They were like, we're really supporting you, but way over here, she recalled. I asked them multiple times, what are your guidelines? How do you want to handle any of this? There's no guidelines in terms of social media. I asked them repeatedly for assistance or what they wanted me to say. I don't really know what that means. You said what you said. I don't know how Comcast is going to help you. So Frost said if Comcast wanted, so in the standards of public relation worlds, if that happens, what you do is actually flood the market with more interviews, she said. So if Comcast wanted to do this correctly, they would have the algorithm machine focusing on the negativity. What you actually do is schedule a ton of interviews and you just 50-50 it. But they decided to do, I don't know, completely back away. According to Frost, not only, she's probably right about that, to be honest with you. It got really bad when, I don't know, if it was multiple people. I'm assuming it was multiple. It was probably one person using multiple sock accounts, but there was a stalker scenario. I don't like that. I disavow that, obviously, and that sucks that she had to go through that. She had a bad opinion. That doesn't mean you can dox her and harass her. You know, I called my local PD to make sure I didn't get swatted. The address attached to my LLC is how they tried to get it, which actually was my agent's address and his phone number. So my agent was getting all sorts of threatening phone calls and having drive-bys of his house. I had to completely change my LLC to some random P.O. box. By the way, that's what you should have done in the first place. I had this individual who is reverse imaging. That's okay, not okay. Okay, that's not okay. If true, I deleted my entire Twitter account. We talked about it. Yeah, I mean, I don't agree with any of that, you know? Taking advantage of the opportunity to vent against her former employer, Frosk then surprised Pishke with a brief story about how a producer on Network's Attack of the Show said at the office in front of other people, the reason X-Play is failing is because they don't have hot people like Morgan Webb anymore. He literally said that. She affirmed. I mean, no, I think that they just had no chance given the, you know, they probably had like immense overhead, $100,000 a month they had to generate just to break even. That's why they didn't. But Frosk admitted if they had asked me, I would have said, do not clip that. Did I care? She reflected. It's hard. Did I mean every word I said? Yeah, but that's in the context of like, I know only 2,000 people are watching it. And I can look directly at the Twitch chat. It was in the context of the rest of the show. So she basically said, hey, this clip got, you know, ran wild. I mean, she said what she said, that's for sure. But it's pretty interesting that she threw out all those other interesting nuggets. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure to leave a like on it. If you haven't yet, please do follow me on Twitter. I'm going to leave it linked in the pinned comment down below. I'm trying to hit 275,000 backers there today, or followers there today. So that would be neat if you haven't yet. And I'll talk to you again real soon.